New Super Mario Bros. Wii, the second installment of the New Super Mario Bros. Series, and my first Mario game I've ever played. For its time, it was an amazing 2D platformer, and I still consider it one of my favorite games to play with my friends. I've recently been playing a bunch of Nintendo games and have made multiple videos on them with my friends, but that got me thinking back to this game and wondering, can I beat it in one sitting? And I mean that literally. The second I start up a new save file, I am not allowed to leave my seat for any reason. Not to eat, hydrate, or even go to the bathroom. If I want to do something, I have to be sitting at my computer to do it. You may be thinking, oh, this is a pretty easy challenge. Just take the cannon in World 1 and 5 and take the secret exit in 8-2, and you'll be done in less than an hour. And to that, I say, that's lame. In fact, for this challenge, I'm not allowing myself to take any cannons or secret exits to help me progress faster, except for the mandatory secret exit in 3-4. And to make my life even more miserable, I cannot use any items in the world map, I can't go into mushroom houses to get power-ups, I can't backtrack to previous levels to get a certain power-up that may make my life easier. If the path on the world map splits in two, I have to choose one of the levels and cannot change it afterwards. And if I ever get a game over, I have to reset the entire playthrough and start from the beginning. Quite a bunch of rules for a simple playthrough of a Mario game. Anyway, I think that's enough of an introduction. Let's start up a new game and start up this challenge. So I start up my new game, and officially starting now, I cannot leave my seat. I have half a cup of water, and that's about it. The opening cutscene has us celebrating Princess Peach's birthday when a not suspicious looking cake slowly approaches us. Those toppings look quite interesting to say the least. But what do you know, it's Bowser Jr. and Bowser's children, the Koopalings. They squash Peach with the cake, somehow not suffocating her inside of it, and take off. A pretty normal day for Mario & Co. That brings us to World 1 and our first level, 1-1. 1-1 is what you'd expect out of a Mario game's first level. Nothing hard, while also helping you learn the game's mechanics. I say as I jump right into a Goomba. This is gonna be a long day. I've labeled star coins as completely optional for this run, but my one viewer on Twitch was going crazy telling me to collect some, so I collect some star coins throughout this playthrough. Oh yeah, I streamed this entire playthrough on Twitch, so make sure to follow me for more streams, cause I am planning to do some more stupid crap in the future. But yeah, nothing too hard for the first level. Got a propeller suit, lost it after like 20 seconds, and we finished the level. 1-2 is our first cave level, but also nothing to write home about. Here I get the ice flower and our first star coin. I also get the second star coin and the actual star power-up this level as well. After going on a mass genocide with the star power-up, I collect the last star coin in this level, lose my power-up like an idiot, and move on to 1-3. 1-3 is where we meet my favorite character in this entire game, Yoshi. And then I almost lose him. Nonetheless, he helps me collect all 3 star coins in this level, and also farts out a fire flower for me since I fed him 5 apples. Man, I'm such a good owner. Anyway, I reach the flag, and we're on to 1-Fortress. Before we can head to 1-Fortress, a toad starts blabbling about missing people and gets taken by a Goomba. I don't really care about the population of the Mushroom Kingdom right now, so we move on. In the fortress, we meet the Drybone, a little fellow who can't die unless frozen solid and thrown at something. I just ignore them for most of this level and go about my business until right after the checkpoint flag, where Mario's plump plumber body gets crushed between 2 moving stones? Objects? I don't know. This actually happens one more time before I make it past this part, so not a great sign considering I have to reset if I get a game over. After that section, I get lucky enough to get the propeller suit from this block, which makes ascending this fortress much easier. Now we're on to our first boss fight of the game, Larry. He's a complete pushover, just stomp on him 3 times in quick succession and he swiftly leaves to cry to his daddy about it. Not like the first boss fight was meant to be difficult, but still, might as well make fun of them while I still can. 1-4 is the first water level of the challenge. For most water levels, I'll be following the same strategy. Hold right and press 2 on the Wii Remote whenever it's needed. And after ignoring literally everything and also narrowly avoiding this pack of fish, the first water level of the challenge is over and done with. But before we can move on to the next level, a Goomba stands in our path. These fights are pretty much just bonus levels where you collect balloons and free a toad from a chest. The toad gives you items to use in the world map, but as stated in the rules, I can't even use them, so I free the toad and get a move on. Here, I reach my first split path. Both levels take us straight to the castle, but we can only choose and stick with one of them. I decided to choose 1-5 to showcase our very first sky level. In 1-5, there are rotating platforms and mushrooms. We do get the propeller suit that I wanted, which is awesome, but I lose it 30 seconds later because I'm a dumbass and don't have a license to fly. I become Big Mario again and speedrun to the end of the level, collecting this star coin with a cool shell trick shot. I do die 2 more times, but we don't talk about that, alright? Now it's time for our first castle level. Ironically named, 1-Castle. Since it's the first castle level, it's nothing too hard, just some spinning gears and some thwomps scattered around the level. That doesn't stop me from ground pounding into the lava at the very end of the castle though. After dying like that, my one viewer in my stream decided to play this sound alert. So yeah, now that happened, I can't die again. It's for my pride. I run through the stage, collecting the red coins to get a fire flower, and now I fight Larry. As with all the castles in this game, Kamek shows up and spreads some fairy dust, or pixie dust, or even some dust, all over the arena, making him move up and down. But this just makes Larry even more of a pushover since he gets stuck in between pillars when sliding around in his shell. 3 swift stomps and Larry is officially down for the count. 1 world down, 7 more to go. Yeah, this video is gonna be a long one, isn't it? Welcome to the Sahara Desert, otherwise known as World 2. We immediately start off with a split path, so I choose 2-2, cause why not? In 2-2, we meet these spike-throwing enemies ironically called Spike. They're not much of an issue right now as I can just run right past their spikes, but we also meet the Spinies, but like, come on. You think I'm scared of these small things? 1 fireball to the face and they're done for. After messing around in an elevator for a bit, I enter the quicksand to head to this blue coin area, which leads to this star coin, which in turn causes me to leave as Small Mario. Doesn't really matter to me though, cause I'm good at this game. Never mind. Retry, don't fall off, climb the Tower of Spikes, and finish the level. Now we're on to 2-3. 2-3 is the first cave level in World 2, and the first level where I could not see anything. Guess what? I cannot see. In this level, you're expected to use the fire flower to light your way to the exit, but because I'm bad at the game, I lose it and just book it to the exit instead. 2-Fortress introduces these chain links that I can grab onto and climb. Roy is also shooting purple magic fireballs at me, so I have to dodge those while also making my way up this fortress. I accidentally find the second star coin in the level by missing a jump, because, well, I'm bad. Then a little platforming later, I make it to the arena to fight Roy. Roy tries to stun me by jumping in the air and stomping down with his plump body, but I evade it by simply jumping in the air. And then, I stomp on him 3 times, and that's the fortress complete. Now on to 2-4. Here, we are introduced to a sandstorm that pushes Mario forwards, which helps me quickly traverse through the level. And that would be all there is to say if I wasn't a dumbass and jumped towards a bottomless pit that the sandstorm then pushes me into twice. But after that, I finally make it up the ladder and finish the level. Once again, I have to make a decision because of a split path, so I choose 2-5. In 2-5, we meet the Pokey, a really tall fellow that switches from extremely pokey to smooth. I also find Yoshi again, which for some reason causes me to fall into this hole twice in a row, so I skip on riding Yoshi and just progress as Mario. This level is also where we meet Lakitu. He just sits in a cloud at the top of the screen and throws down Spinies, nothing to really worry about. After a bit of running and navigating through this annoying section, 2-5 is complete and I can move on to 2-Castle. But of course it can't be that easy, because I get dropped into a cave and have to deal with these Spinies first. Yeah, it took me 11 seconds. Now, I move on to 2-Castle, and say hello to the most boring parts of Mario games, auto-scrollers. Unlike the past levels where the camera just follows Mario, the camera in 2-Castle moves at a fixed pace, and we can't progress further than what the camera shows on the screen. And if that wasn't boring enough, 2-Castle is a pick-a-path type castle. Now who the hell designs their castle as a pick-a-path? That makes no sense. There are 3 paths to choose from, and you have to choose the correct one or you get sent back to the beginning. The paths are really long, which makes waiting for the camera to move just extremely obnoxious, but after getting through all the guessing, we can finally fight Roy. Kamek shows up and adds pipes to the room, which Roy can jump in and out of, but after the first hit he never goes back into a pipe, and we easily beat him. 2 worlds down, 6 more to go. After the Sahara, we move on to the Arctic, which is the freezing snowland of World 3. There aren't many required levels in World 3, but as per usual, we start with 3-1. Now, 3-1 has to be one of my most favorite levels in this entire game, and the whole reason for that is because of this power-up. For one, it lets me move on ice without slipping, it lets me slide on my belly, and I can shoot ice. Like, what more could you want out of a power-up? Just look at this segment and tell me this level isn't awesome. Now here... you just slide the entire time, pretty much. I could've went in there for, like, another star coin, but guess who's not trying to do it? Okay, we're good. Awesome. Yeah, that's probably my favorite level in the entire game. 3-2 is quite a simple level, and also the first time we see the Bullet Bill. We also meet the Fire Bro's brother, Ice Bro. This level has a similar structure to 1-1, just with more obstacles and different enemies. So, after taking a quick detour to grab this star coin, 3-2 is complete. From 3-2, we can go straight to the fortress, but we first get challenged by an Ice Bro. Okay, I don't know how that happened. After finding my brain again, this bonus level was actually really easy. 3-Fortress contains these rotating blocks that I have to platform across to make it to the top. I found multiple ways to speed through most of the waiting, but then I made it to this elevator part, which is basically just another auto-scroller since I can't progress any faster than the elevator. But after messing around for a bit, I make it to the top, and we have our first fight against Lemmy. Unlike the other Koopalings, Lemmy balances on a ball. Doesn't make him any different though. Time for 3-4. In 3-4, there are these outlines of blocks that seem like they should be filled in. And that's because they should be filled in. In the world map, we can see this big red button. Pressing it fills these blocks. But because we haven't pressed the button yet, we can't follow the blocks that lead to this pipe, and instead have to take the secret exit leading to 3-5, which is our only required secret exit of the challenge. 3-5 is another sky level featuring the helicopter block. Holding this block allows us to fly as if we had the propeller suit, which makes this level less painful to navigate through. But remember, if a level is easy, I'll find a way to die in it. Twice. If I don't stop screwing around, I'll end up having to reset at the very end of the challenge, so let's just hope that I lock in for the rest of the challenge. After hitting this switch, 3-4 has changed and we can take it on once again. This time, the blocks are filled in, and the level requires less platforming. And since the blocks are filled in, we can take this pipe and take the normal exit, which leads us right to the castle. 3-Castle has a bunch of ice. And I mean, a bunch of ice. Heck, even the snake is made out of ice. There's even icicles growing out of the ceiling. There's also these Lemmy balls that bounce us around, and bob-ombs that are, stuck in ice. Then there's another snake, where I die a couple times. But after all that, we can finally fight Lemmy. In this fight, Kamek makes Lemmy's ball massive to make it harder for us to jump on his head. This requires us to bounce on one of his balls to stomp on his head. But after that first hit, Lemmy is a complete pushover just like his lesser counterpart Larry, and I teabag him a bit. 3 worlds down, 5 more to go. In World 4, we finally get to relax and just chill at the beach. Just kidding. We still got 4 more worlds to go through. 4-1 is mostly underwater, but this time they let us use the penguin power-up, which also lets us swim faster. Yeah, this might be the best power-up in this game. I legit just spam 2 while avoiding all the enemies, and that's 4-1 complete. Before we have to make a level decision, we first have to do this cheap chomp bonus level. And that's pretty much it. On the split path, I choose 4-2 to showcase the first rocky level of the challenge. In this level, Cheep Cheeps fly out from the water to try to hurt us as we jump across barrels, falling platforms, and rocky edges. Overall, not too hard of a level. And with that, we're on to 4-Fortress. 4-Fortress introduces these conveyor belts with heavy blocks that we have to wait for in order to progress through the level. Nothing too special happened as I made my way up the fortress, but then there's this part right after this pipe. For some reason, waiting is just a weakness on my resume because I died a few times because I didn't want to wait for the blocks to fall before proceeding. Eventually, I figured out the virtue of patience and finally made it to the arena to fight Wendy. Wendy shoots out a magic bouncing ring that unfortunately doesn't disappear until after a long time. But that just adds a small moving obstacle to an extremely easy fight, so it doesn't affect the fight at all. 4-4 is the first actual underwater level we play in World 4. And although I die a few times to these bloopers that shoot out of random areas, I just follow my same strategy of holding right as much as needed and pressing 2 wherever I need to, and 4-4 is a piece of cake. Welcome to our first ghost house of the challenge, 4-Ghost House. After being extremely confused as to what to do in the first room for 2 whole minutes, I finally found out that there was a P-switch hidden in the ceiling, allowing me to get on with the actual ghost house. The ghost house features, well, ghosts, obviously, and these mice or rats. It's actually quite a short ghost house since after the second room you can just immediately go to the flagpole, so now we're on to 4-5. 4-5 is a pretty normal level featuring a Lakitu block that spawns in a Lakitu that throws down coins at the player. There's also a normal Lakitu, but we don't pay much attention to him. In this level, we get to ride on Yoshi and find these stretching mushroom-like platforms that stretch and contract. I also figured out that Lakitu can be eaten and I can steal his cloud to ride above most of the level. So that's 4-5 complete. In 4-Castle, the chain links we can grab onto make a return, but this castle also adds these skewers that definitely do not look safe to touch into the mix. I have to platform above the skewers by using the chain links to jump across gaps in platforms, and after that I have to avoid skewers without the help of the chain links. Then I have to navigate through a water section with fish bones in it, but like, who the heck has just a random water section in their castle anyway? And then I have to make it past this giant area with one long skewer to make it to the boss arena. This time, Kamek completely floods the arena, which causes my first boss death of the entire challenge. I make it back to the arena for a second time, this time with a fire flower, and shoot Wendy with fire until she retreats back into her shell. At this point, the water had gone down, so I was able to quickly stomp on her 2 more times before the water came back and finish 4-Castle. But this time, the airship leaves Bowser Jr. behind, leading us to our first airship level, 4-Airship. In the airship, we meet the wind-up Koopas, as well as these rotating fire spewer things. I basically speedrun through the entire level, collecting 1 star coin in the process, and meeting these bomb shooters. Now we get to have our first fight with Bowser Jr. In this fight, we get these propeller blocks to fly up and stomp on Bowser Jr.'s head. It doesn't take long to stomp on his head 3 times since you can predict when his invincibility frames wear off and immediately stomp on his head to beat the airship. Half of the world's done, half of them to go. Welcome to Tarzan's Jungle, or World 5 for short. This is where I would have been 1 hour and 30 minutes ago if I just allowed myself to use the cannons, but here we are, 1 hour and 40 minutes into the challenge. In 5-1, there are piranha plants that stretch their necks and have tiny little feet. And also we have these piranha plants that spew water and carry these spiky ball looking things. After avoiding all those enemies, we get to swing on vines like Tarzan to avoid the piranha plants down below. And after moving across this sea of piranha plants with a rotating platform, we finish 5-1. On our way to our next split path decision, we bump into this piranha. Done in 8 seconds. For our split path decision, I decide to take on 5-2. In this level, we meet the Wiggler. They're relatively harmless until you step on them, then they get a tad bit angry. 5-2 is also a cave level, where we get to mess with funky hitboxes and avoid bats. And that's it for this surprisingly short level. Now it's time for 5-Fortress. This fortress has moving spiked walls that force me to wait in some areas because they block the path upwards. This fortress requires a bit of patience and maybe the ability to use the damn spring, but other than that, it's not too bad. Now it's time to fight Iggy. If you can already guess what's about to happen, then good job, but if you can't figure it out, let me help you out. 3 quick stomps. And that's a wrap for the fortress. Next up is 5-4. 5-4 is pretty much another auto-scroller level, but with a bit of a twist. In order to progress, you have to ride on this platform, but you can't allow too many things to be on it at one time. This includes coins, enemies, items, and yourself. If the counter shown on the platform reaches 5, the entire platform stops. As you go through the poison swamp, enemies will fall from the platforms above, making you have to deal with them without dying. These mini Goombas that we meet somehow count as one whole enemy, which is kind of confusing because I know damn well a mini Goomba does not weigh as much as a regular Goomba, but whatever. Once you make it to the end, 5-4 is complete. In the world map, we have another split path decision to make, and since I don't want to play another ghost house, I opt for 5-5 instead. Now you may be wondering why I sound a bit different than how I sounded a couple seconds ago, and the reasoning for that is, it's a completely different day, and I'm not even at my sub today. I usually have an equalizer on my voice to make my voiceover sound really crispy and nice to listen to, but right now, all I have is my Blue Yeti, there's no equalizer, this is just my voice. So I hope you're okay with that. Now back to 5-5. 5-5 is a sky level featuring these jumbo rays that help you traverse the level. Oh yeah, and this level is another auto-scroller. There are also clouds that can hide blocks, which causes me to die since it was pretty unexpected. I mean, who the hell's thinking, that cloud's looking mega suspicious right now, I bet you there's a block under there. But once I make it past those blocks, I find a propeller block sitting in the clouds, which makes this level extremely easy. I barely have to jump on the jumbo rays anymore, and it's just smooth sailing all the way to the flag. Before the castle, we have to fight another one of these piranhas again. So we do that real quick, and move on to the castle. Hey look! Finally, a castle level that actually features lava and potobos. I don't even know if I said that right. Once again, we have these rotating chain links that we use to move across the lava, and Iggy is shooting magical green fireball-looking spells at us now, so we have to avoid those as well. Oh hey, look, I finally got the propeller suit again. Oh, and I lost it. Wow, I'm amazing at keeping the propeller power up. After some more platforming, we get another propeller suit, and we can go fight Iggy. Here, Iggy has a chain chomp attached to his ride, I guess, and Kamek just enlarges the chain chomp, making it take up more space. Once again, not a hard boss fight. We can't stomp on Iggy as fast as usual because the chain chomp is in the way sometimes, but we still get our 3 stomps in, and that is World 5 complete. 5 worlds down, 3 left. World 6 is high up in the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, that's pretty much it. 6-1 introduces Stone Spike. Unlike Spike, who chucks spikes towards the player, Stone Spike drops stone spikes on us from above. This level includes a bunch of enemy dodging on stone cliffs and moving platforms, and also some rock climbing. After slowly making my way through this bullet bill hell with stone spikes chucking stone spikes down on me, this level is complete. Once again, we have another split path decision to make. I choose to play 6-3, since there are less levels on this path that are required to reach the fortress. Taking this pipe, we get sent straight into something that looks like a sewage system, and I spend way too long wall jumping up this wall. 6-3 introduces these switches that, when pressed, cause the water to rise, and these enemies that are basically just spinies without the spikes. After using this switch to get us out of the sewer, we reach the flagpole, and 6-3 is complete. While crossing these pipes, we run into a bullet bill which activates another bonus level, which we just speed through. Time for 6-Fortress. This fortress has a giant skewer in the middle that we have to avoid as we jump towards the top of the fortress. If I wasn't so bad at timing these bouncy block jumps, I wouldn't have died right before the checkpoint, but I'm bad so I had to do it all over again. Halfway up the fortress, the skewer is now coming down instead of up. So once it's going back up, we chase it and use these pipes to shoot us to the moving platform section, which then leads us to the boss arena. In World 6, we're facing Morden. There's skewers on the side platform, so we can't just stand on the side to avoid Morden when he's in his shell, but that doesn't really matter because it's the same thing as all the other fights.
Just stomp on him a couple times without thinking too much, and that's 6-Fortress complete. With the fortress done, we are on to 6-5, which is somehow a mountain level that includes water and this Cheap Chomp. The water rises and dips a couple times, helping the Cheap Chomp get closer to Mario, but the Cheap Chomp isn't that much of a threat. I literally ignore the Cheap Chomp's existence the entire level, except for the times that I shoot it with a fireball to kill it for a little bit. It's kinda funny how the Cheap Chomp is supposed to be scary and is a don't go too close to the water type enemy, but if you're just a bit decent at this game, you can completely ignore it and finish the level with ease. Moving on to 6-6, it's the cave level of World 6, where once again, I cannot see. But this time, the game gives me control of a light that I can shine where I want depending on how far I tilt the Wii Remote. I wouldn't consider this level an auto-scroller since the camera does follow Mario, but you can't really see where you're going without the light, so you do have to wait for the platform to move forwards to continue through the level. Except for when you're in the star, because then Mario gains night vision and can just see in the dark. Yeah, don't know how that works. Other than that, nothing special to this level. Just stay on the platform, avoid enemies, and complete 6-6. On our way to the castle, we bump into another bullet. Y'all really gotta stop getting trapped in these chests. But now we're at 6-Castle, featuring these swaying platforms, and these spiked balls that randomly drop from the sky. There's also these moving platforms that move down and drop spiked balls onto you while you're platforming across more moving platforms that go in and out of lava, so that adds a bit of spice to this pretty bland castle so far. Then they add the swaying platforms into the mix, which requires a bit of focus to get past. But once we're past that, it's time to fight Morden. Kamek makes the pillars move up and down, which seems kind of familiar to a boss fight we had in the first world. I don't know if I'm just imagining it or not. But it doesn't add to the boss fight whatsoever. We just stomp on Morden 3 times and that's 6-Castle complete. But that's not the end of World 6 just yet. Bowser Jr. once again got left behind by his airship, and now we've got our second airship level. This airship has spinning gears and these rocky wrenches who just throw wrenches at Mario. There's not much else to this airship than that, so we just jump over to the Bowser Jr. boss fight. This time, Bowser Jr. has electrified the sidewalls, but has given us our own clown car to fly in. Using this clown car, we ram Bowser Jr. into the electrified walls 3 times in a row to beat World 6 once and for all. 6 worlds down, only 2 remain. World 7 is above the clouds. How'd we get here? I don't know, and I don't care. World 7 is pretty action-packed, and I think I'll let past me describe what I mean by that.
This is probably the most action-packed level we've seen. Before it would take maybe a couple levels, we wouldn't have to do many. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Lakitu Freedom, 6, 7, 8. We have to basically go through every single level plus Lakitu if we hit them, instead of skipping a couple because they split off. So let's get started. 7-1 is a sky level. I know, shocking since World 7 is above the clouds and all. This level features spinning platforms, moving pipes with piranha plants, pipe platforming, and just a whole lot of jumping. But that's all it has. 7-2 introduces these chain chomps that are chained to a pole, and these floating bubbles that we can swim in and have to swim in to get across some gaps. The entire level has me avoiding chain chomps and swimming across these bubbles all the way until I reach the flagpole. 7-3 introduces fuzzies. They ride on these rails alongside blocks and we just have to avoid them. Oh, and guess who finally got a propeller suit and lost it again? We got another one though, and I lost that one too. God damn, I suck. Then I get the pleasure of standing on a moving platform while jumping over some fuzzies that come my way. I also get another propeller suit. And I know what you're thinking, but I actually kept it this time. Oddly enough, 7-Fortress takes place in an outdoor environment, and is also an auto-scroller. But I can skip the auto-scrolling by cheesing it with my propeller suit. Never mind, I lost it. In order to progress through the level, we have to stand on this platform and control it by tilting the Wii Remote. We also have to avoid all the bullet bills getting fired at us. After the bullet bill barrage, we have to survive the bonsai bill barrage, and then we get sent over to part 2 of the auto-scroller, which takes place indoors. It's literally the same thing, but bombs are getting shot at us instead. Once we're finally at the top of the fortress, we can fight Ludwig. This guy got guided magic and the ability to flutter like Yoshi, but it is still the exact same as all the other fights. Stomp 3 times.
and the fortress is done. Nothing hard to deal with at all. Time for 7-Ghost House. Here we meet the Bruisers, whose main goal is to knock Mario out. Once they see you, they start swinging, and they really just don't stop. All we have to do is make it to the top of the house, take a free fall dive past a bunch of ghosts, find the correct door, say what's up to the Big Boo, and this ghost house is complete. We bump into Lakitu on our way to the next level, so we quickly free this toad and move on. 7-4 has these platforms that move when you tilt the Wii remote, and they zoom. For the first half of this level, I just jump across some pipes and enter a pipe. The second half is where we make use of these platforms. We use them to get across gaps and create bridges to make it to this red pipe, which takes us to more pipe platforming. Once across all the pipes, we take one last leap to the flagpole and finish off 7-4. 7-5 introduces us to Foos. They just spew a gigantic fog cloud that blocks our vision. We get the propeller suit in this level, which gets rid of all that fog, making it much easier to see, especially in this segment where it's just a massive fog cloud. There's no real threat in this level, there's just a bunch of Foos, so this level is really quick and easy. After all those levels, I've made it to 7-Castle. The skewers make a reappearance in this outdoor castle, which adds some level of difficulty to all this platforming we have to do. I also meet a chunkier version of the Hammer Bro, but he doesn't really do anything, so there was really no reason to mention him. I make it to this segment as Small Mario after taking a bit of damage to earlier platforming. This segment has me make it to specific sections on the floor to avoid getting hit by the skewers, but my impatience causes me to make a mad dash for the end and eventually die to the skewers. After learning from my mistakes, I make it past the skewers and enter the boss arena to fight Ludwig. Kamek actually makes this fight interesting by completely destroying the floor and having us fight on 3 rapidly rising and descending platforms. I could have done this fight first try if I didn't accidentally fly off the edge after stomping on Ludwig, but it's alright because my next try went way smoother as I was able to get 3 quick stomps instead of having to wait for Ludwig to jump around the platforms. 7 worlds down, 1 more to go. World 8 seems to take place in a massive volcano, so I don't know how Mario isn't dying of heat stroke at the moment, but we move. As I stated at the start of this video, New Super Mario Bros. Wii was the first Mario game I've ever played. I've speedran this game a couple times with the cannons, so 8-1 is a level where I am confident enough in my skills that I can just run through it without thinking. So for 8-1, I'll just let the level play.
Sweet.
Although I did make a few mistakes which caused my timing to be off in some segments, I've played 8-1 so much that I'm not too worried about small timing issues and can still play the level without thinking too much. 8-2 takes us underground, where we have to avoid spiked balls, gigantic Goombas, and platform across lava to make it to the end. Really not that hard of a level, although being a part of the last couple levels before the end of the game. 8-3 introduces lava tides and platforms that drop while you stand on them. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just ran through the first half of the level without even thinking about the lava tide and how low the platforms were getting. Right here, I was inches away from being burnt to a crisp, but I somehow made it to the checkpoint in one piece. After the checkpoint, I somehow didn't get burned after coming in contact with the lava, but my luck ran out with the very next wave. Then I decided to take my time with things and not rush too much, for only a small amount of time. Then I just started running through the level again. But hey, it worked out, and we're moving on to the fortress, so who am I to complain? On the way to the fortress, we bump into a Podoboo. This is the last Toad we have to save in this challenge, so you better be happy, Toad. You're the last civilian of the Mushroom Kingdom that I am basically forced to save in this playthrough. Time for 8-Fortress. In this fortress, we have these fire spinners that I have to avoid, and these moving platforms I have to jump on. I make my way up the fortress, avoiding getting crushed by these moving blocks, and it's time to fight Kamek. Kamek causes all of the blocks in the arena to move from right to left, and he just teleports across the entire arena as well. Not gonna lie, I don't think teleporting across the arena is quite fair. If Kamek's magic hits one of the blocks, it spawns in enemies. But to be honest, the enemies are the least of my concern. The only thing I care about is where Kamek is teleporting because I gotta step on him. I purposefully take this hit of damage so I can stomp Kamek and finally complete 8-Fortress. 8-4 is underwater. How the heck are we in a volcano and underwater at the same time? This doesn't make any sense. Here we meet Bulbers, who help light up the water. The stone spikes are also here chucking stone spikes into the water from above, but I just go up to them and stomp them, so yeah. After exiting this pipe, we meet another new enemy called Jelly Beams. They light up the water while also moving up and down. We swim for a while, avoiding multiple enemies before finally reaching the flagpole and finishing 8-4. 8-5 is another amazing auto-scroller. We have to control this moving platform while bob-ombs fly in from the sky. I won't bore you with the details of this auto-scroller since this is probably the most boring auto-scroller out of all of the auto-scrollers in this game. All you have to know is that I avoid bob-ombs, dodge lava, shoot fire at Crowbers, and finish the level. 8-6 has rising lava, which gives me a certain amount of time to move past a certain point in the level. But the game also gives me a propeller suit, so that just ruins the challenge of this level. I just fly up the entire level until reaching this pipe, which then they add in rotating platforms and chains I can use to move upwards. But once again, I have the propeller suit, so I can just do this. Yeah, this level was dumb. But now we're on to the second last level of the challenge, 8-Airship. 8-Airship introduces screws which I have to spin on to move some platforms. All of the enemies and obstacles stay the same, but there are more of them, ramping up the difficulty of this airship by a decent margin. Once I make it into this rotating pipe, I have to use the screws to create platforms to jump across with a limited amount of time. I then have to spin on screws in order to move platforms, and finally have this section where we have to make it through this gap without getting crushed. Now, it's time for our final fight with Bowser Jr. He gets to use a bigger and upgraded version of his clown car, while I get to use my plump plumber booty to ground pound onto the floor. Bowser Jr. spits out a massive spiked bomb that I have to launch back at him by using a well-timed ground pound. I also have to do this under a certain time limit or else the bomb will explode, and I'll have to wait for the next one. Bowser Jr. also spits guided fire that stays on the ground for a while, which can entrap me in corners if I'm not careful. After getting hit and returning to Small Mario, I'm able to launch one last bomb back in Bowser Jr.'s face and take down his airship once and for all. We've finally made it to Princess Peach. Our adventure is finally over, and we can finally relax. Nah, I'm just kidding. Remember how I said this was the second last level of the challenge? Well, we still haven't fought Bowser yet, meaning we still have one more level, that level being 8-Bowser Castle. This castle is a generic castle featuring normal platforming across Podoboos and fire spinners that I have to avoid. We then get introduced to these bone platforms that fall after we step on them, which requires me to think quickly and not stay still for too long. Next up we have a section where lava is slowly descending beneath me, and I have to time my jumps onto different bone platforms to ensure I don't fall into the lava or run out of platforms to jump on. After these 3 sections, I've finally made it to the final fight. Bowser shoots fireballs at me as I get closer, removing my power-up, and it's time for the final showdown. Bowser shoots fire right in my face, turning me into Small Mario. He then leaps into the air, letting me sneak under and hit the switch that drops Bowser into the lava below. And that's it. I've done it. I've saved Princess Peach in one sitting. Oh, you really thought it was that easy? If you've played this game before, you knew this was coming. Bowser isn't going down that easily. Kamek uses his wand one last time and turns Bowser into a massive giant. In order for me to beat this big bad Bowser, I have to use his own fireballs to open up paths for me to move through. I slowly but surely make my way through each wall, making it to the moving platform section. And then, I die. Again and again. I just couldn't figure out what to do. I just couldn't seem to beat this last section of the game. Bowser just kept breaking the walls I needed to reach some of the platforms, and it seemed impossible for me to beat it without a propeller suit. But I couldn't go back to 8-6 and get one because of my rules. So the only choice for me was to reset the entire run. Just kidding. Turns out this question mark block that I was avoiding since I already had the Fire Flower power-up actually had the propeller power-up inside of it. Yeah, the propeller suit was inside the question mark block right before the moving platform section, and I didn't notice because I already had the Fire Flower power-up and was actively ignoring it. You can probably guess how stupid I felt. But anyways, after getting the propeller suit, this section became the easiest section in the entire world. I flew right to the end and hit this massive switch that dropped Bowser to his temporary demise. And I officially saved Princess Peach. After 4 long hours, I beat New Super Mario Bros. Wii in one sitting. After completely ditching Luigi and taking off with Princess Peach, the credits roll. As I completely destroy the credits, I'd like to thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. This video took forever to play, script, and edit, but it was a ton of fun to create. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and commenting down below. I make sure to respond to every single comment because I enjoy seeing what you guys have to say about my videos. Also, consider subscribing as that really helps me out and it helps you stay notified about my next videos. I'm considering doing this challenge for Super Mario 64 or Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator next, so if you're interested in that, it only takes one click, one button press to stay tuned for all of my upcoming videos. I usually make videos on whatever I find fun and what you guys like to watch, hence why my banner says, games are fun. Anyway, now that this video is over, make sure to check out these videos on Super Mario 3D World and Nintendo Land. I played them with my friends recently and they were tons of fun, and I think you'd enjoy them too. As always, I've been iProwl, and I'll see you in the next video.